Okay, so in this video we're going to do practice 16a, which is creating details. And to start off, we're going to do task 1, which is create a detail based on an AutoCAD drawing. So we want to start a new project based on a default template, and all we're going to do is just start it with a default architectural template. We're then going to make a drafting view, so we've got to go to the View tab, and we're then going to make a drafting view, and we're going to call this a parapet detail at 1 to 10 scale. Again, it's kind of like a legend, it's just a blank piece of paper. And now what we're going to do is we're going to insert. I'm going to choose from the import panel, not the link panel, but the import panel. We're going to import a bit of CAD. And we're going to import the roof detail. We're going to make it match what's in the book, so we're going to make it black and white. All layers, auto detect, and auto center to center. We're going to click open. And Revit's now loading in that AutoCAD drawing. Still loading in, it's got 2% done. And now before we do anything, we want to zoom in there, and we want to use a little measuring tape just to measure that that's about right. 250, yep, that's about the right size for a bit of block. And then that's the CAD detail that we've made, that we've imported in. So when we hover over it, it's called an import symbol. So we can select that import symbol, and under the import instance, we want to explode this, and we want to do a full explode. Okay, so instead of there being one group of elements, they're now individual little pieces. So the first thing we want to do is we've got to change this to Revit stuff, so we can select the text. We can then change it. We want to select all the detail. We then want to filter. We want to check none. And then the heavy lines we want to select. And then we want to change those heavy lines to our medium lines. And then we want to do that same process again, so we want to select them all, we want to filter, we want to go none. We want to then change the hidden lines to hidden. Do that again, filter, and the light lines to thin lines. Now we want to select everything again. Okay, we want to filter, we want to check none, we want to do the text lines, which will in effect be the leaders from the CAD file, and then we want to delete those. Now we want to select some of these things here. Some arrowheads, so let's select this one here, and then we can right click and we want to say we want to select every single one in this view, and then we can choose delete. And then we can then select some of the text, and then start adding some of these arrows back in. Okay, now task number 3, we want to add a filled region. Okay, so what we can do is in the Annotate tab, we can then come to the Detail panel and then we want a filled region. And before we go any further, we want to make the outside of this invisible. And then what we can then draw is little rectangles around the blocks. We want to click Finish. In the Properties panel, we want to put it as being diagonal up. We want to select what is in effect the concrete, change it from this filled region, and then swap that in with our own concrete pattern. And just to make sure it's the right pattern, we can select the pattern, we can click Edit Type, and then where it says this fill pattern, we want to click Concrete. Okay, the detail's looking pretty good. Now what we want to do is we want to then save this as something. And let's say this is a library view. Next little dialog box pops up and it says, which view do you want to save? We say yes, we want to save this drafting view parapet detail. And then we can then go OK. And then it'll ask you where to save it to. So I'm just going to save it somewhere else. And now people can retrieve that. Now what we can do is we can open the file again, which is Modern Hotel Detailing. Once we've got that open, we can then go to the Insert tab, and we can then say we want to insert from file. We want to insert a view from a file. We can go back to where we had it. That was that parapet detail which you've just drawn up. We can then select Open. It says, yep, that's what we want, because it'll preview, bit of a name. We can click Open. We want to accept any of those warnings, and there it is now. We have a look down our project browser. There's the parapet detail in the exact same condition as you had it before.